Lopes fans, welcome in. My name is Brennan Williams, and this is Go Lopes Radio, and it is conference season. GCU did have the night off this week, but it ramps up this weekend at home in Phoenix, and GCU is hosting Colorado State, which means there was only one man for the job that we could reach out to, Steve Ivy. I hopped on his show, Crackers College Hoops preseason, to talk all things Lopes, and we have got him here, like I said, to preview Colorado State GCU this Saturday. Good morning, Steve. How we doing?
Brennan, I am doing great. Thank you so much for having me on. I love the work that you're doing with Grand Canyon basketball. I really admire a young person like you getting into this thing and really doing, I think, a fantastic job. And, when you asked me to come on, my first reaction was, heck yeah, because I love talking with you. It's been a lot of fun getting to know you. And unfortunately, we only have a year to get to know each other really well, but we'll make it work and we'll have some fun doing it.
Well, maybe what we can do is, I think you're coming to the game on Saturday. Maybe we can try to corner the ADs or people. If your AD or if anybody's coming, we can try to corner them and say, hey, we're not leaving without a home and home next year. Let's get to take. I don't think it's going to happen, but we can try to, maybe see what we can do there. But we've got a big one Saturday, and we were just talking a little bit on how quick non-con just kind of came and went. I think the first question I want to ask you, Steve, is, gosh, it's so hard to contextualize Colorado State's season, especially after last night. They're now 0-2 in Mountain West Conference play. But if I would have asked you even a week ago, even before maybe you had some Jorgensen injury news, you would have said this season's gone fantastic. They're darlings. The data, metrics love them. How are you kind of contextualizing this season? I know we're going to talk about last night specifically, but just kind of, it feels like it had been an awesome season. Ollie takes over, but it's kind of not gotten off the rails a little bit, but 0-2 in Mountain West play. How do you kind of put that together so far?
It has derailed a little bit, to be honest with you, Brennan. And we'll get into the injury thing. The injury things have certainly hurt the Rams. I think that, if you go back to start the season, they opened 4-0, 3 wins, 3 good wins at home against, low 200 plus Ken Palm teams. And then a road win at Loyola of Illinois. And Loyola was expected to be good this year. And it turns out they're the worst team in the A-10. But a good road win nonetheless. And they came back home and were getting prepped for a nice trip to the battle for Atlantis, and lost at home to Denver, and it was a horrible loss, and it opened up a lot of eyes in terms of how poor the Rams were defensively. The offense was great, and you've seen the numbers: top 20 offense.
Oh yeah,
best 3-point shooting. Great free throw, first in free throw shooting, first in 3-point shooting, first in effective field goal percentage. I mean, just a team. And I've been around college basketball. I've been watching college basketball I'm an old man, for over 60 years. And I've never seen a team that shoots like this. They really do shoot it. But defensively, we saw the struggles against Denver. And then, lost on missed a 3 at the buzzer to win. But quite frankly, they just did not play well. Denver is not a good team. And, you had your issues at Grand Canyon with Youngstown State. Youngstown State would have run Denver off the floor. That's how bad Denver was. They really were good. And so, then they go to the battle for Atlantis, and they struggled in the first half. They went down by 12 against Virginia Tech, a good, solid ACC team. Yep. Didn't play well, and came out in the second half, and things started getting better. And part of that was we had CSU was missing the guy who's expected to be their starting big, Rashawn Mbemba, missed the first 5 games. Four games. Came back against DU and played poorly, but he was getting back into shape. He played maybe 8 minutes or something, shot 1 for 6 on his free throws, and really didn't have much of an impact on the game. Came out and played as a sub in the Virginia Tech game, and came on in the second half and scored 12 points. And CU played real well in the second half against Virginia Tech, then rolled off to 2 good wins against 2 decent teams, both from the American, Wichita State and South Florida. were up by over 20 against both those teams, and they shot it well. They played well. Mbemba got hurt at the end of the the first game against Virginia Tech, and so he missed those two. And then Jorgensen got a little bit banged up, hurt his thumb, but he was okay. But they won those two games, came back home, and had a good win over Colorado. Didn't play great defense, but shot the ball well, and here they are.
Good for morale. Yeah, good for morale as well, right? You beat the kind of local and state rival.
You win, and it's a big game to win. It always is, and it was fun. Sellout crowd. Ali got his first win over CU, and we joke about CU when their coach refers to it as CSU's Super Bowl, and we kind of laugh because we've had a better team than them the last 4 years. So, but that's the season was looking good, and then you finish with two nondescript games, and you think you're ready to enter conference, and you have to open with Utah State, who, by the way, I have always thought would be at or near the top of the Mountain West. Went out and got smoked. Kyle Jorgensen got hurt. And I want to talk about Jorgensen a little bit. Jorgensen, it was a little bit of a blessing that Rashawn Mbemba got hurt in the summer. Rashawn had a high ankle sprain and had to sit for a while, and it elevated Jorgensen into a starting role, and he grasped that opportunity. He was not going to be a starter. He was probably going to be Rashawn's sub at the 5 position and then play some of the power forward position. But it really accelerated his development. He was the best player for CSU until he got hurt. He was averaging 15 points, 7 rebounds, shooting 50% on his threes. I'll talk a little bit later maybe about the offense, but he's an integral part. But Rashawn being out helped the development of Kyle. And the hope was, keep Kyle healthy, get Rashawn back, and things will start ticking.
They can yin and yang, yeah.
And it's gone the other way with the Jorgensen injury. There was no fight in the game at Utah State, and CSU, had they fought, was still that Utah State was very, very good.
They're good. There's a unique team in the Mountain West because there's so many. It feels like variables with each team and hot, cold, this or that. Utah State feels like they have the highest floor. Like, what you're going to get from them at a bare minimum. And so I feel like if you're an opponent, you're like, we've got to meet that. And if you don't, there's really no way to negotiate that game. It's just over. And I think, is that kind of what happened in that game? Because you get down and it's like, you're just not going to come back. They're too well oiled. They're returning guys.
The same thing happened last year. What's really interesting about CSU against Utah State, the last 4 games they've played, they've been 2-2, and 3 of the games teams have had 30-point leads. One of them they had a 25-point lead. So these are games that have been complete blowouts, and by either team. And it's crazy what happens. CSU went out there last year and got absolutely murdered, but came back and made it look respectable. Only lost by 8, but it was the same kind of game where they were down 23 after 10 minutes, and it was never a game. But the Rams did not respond to Jorgensen getting hurt, and they just went further and further down the tubes. And Utah State is a very, very good team. The one thing, they are a very experienced team. And they are they returned a lot of production, which was very unusual for college basketball. And so they hit the ground running, and a lot of the pieces that they brought in from the portal fit right away.
Ooh,
And when you mention high floor, they'll get a little better, but they're gonna just basically, they're a fine-tuned machine right now, and I don't think you're going to see them get too much better.
And you're just, at the end of the day, you're not going to winning that game away, regardless of where it's at on your schedule, is tough. And obviously getting that one first, I feel like for you guys is tough. That game's going to be impossible to win on everybody's schedule at Utah State, and getting that one out of the gate, I feel like makes it even tougher. Like, it's just going to hit you right in the mouth.
Yeah. It was a tough one. And then you come back home and you got a Nevada team that I'm going to say this about Nevada. They remind me of CSU last year, where they kind of went under the radar, didn't really do much. They won games in the non-con, but it was a very kind of nondescript non-con. I wouldn't say they had a lot of big wins. They had a loss to UC Davis, but they're very fundamental in terms of what they do. I don't think they don't have superstars They had
which
better
I think
players
might be
last
better
year.
for them. I think might be a welcome change if you saw some. I don't know if you saw any of the headlines stuff that had happened there last year with NIL off the court and that sort of stuff. Sounds like it might be better that way for them to be that team that has a bunch of kind of under the radar guys.
Yeah, the one thing that I will always point to is they have a great coach, Steve Alford.
Yep.
He's won like
He's a
I don't know,
veteran.
600 games, 800. I don't know. He's won a ridiculous amount of games at a bunch of different programs, and he's got that team playing good, solid, fundamental basketball. And CSU last night was just weren't ready for the fight. And I think that's the one thing, that I hit on my show last night. I think I used the word fight at least 50 times.
Yeah.
The Rams, when they shoot it well, that's great, but you have to find ways to win when you don't shoot it well. And they did not find that yesterday. And the holes in the team showed up, especially missing the two bigs.
Yeah, we talked about this preseason with the Mountain West and how you go up and down the schedule. There's no breaks, and I think we're starting to see that play out already with a lot of teams. And for GCU, this is such a fascinating game this Saturday, and I hate to chalk it up to this, but Colorado State's 0-2. You're playing a team who, for GCU with Colorado State, that maybe you'd be close to, or most people might have had close to in the standings. All of a sudden, you could be 2-0. Colorado State could be 3-0, and you have a game up on them. And I hate to look at it that early, but that's what this Mountain West does to you. I mean, it is
absolutely
it's just you don't get a break, and it's tough.
It's unforgiving. It really is.
Yep.
If you don't come and you're not ready to play every game, and like I said, there wasn't much fight last night. I will tell you, the one thing that was interesting, Brennan, in the game last night was. CSU was very good defensively in the first half, other than one thing. They could not grab a rebound. They gave up, I think, 12 second chance points, and every one of those resulted in a layup or a three. They did not. Every time they got an offensive rebound, they scored. And CSU was defending very, very well. Nevada's other points, they got a bunch of other points with their press, with layups that they got off of steals. They probably had 5 points off of steals, and they had 12 second chance points. They ended up with 38. I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure they had 10 points on their first attempt out of the half court. That's how good CSU's defense was. But when you don't finish possessions by grabbing a rebound, that's what happens. There was no fight. And it was a 1 point game at the half. Nevada made a 3 on their last possession. CSU missed, and Rams went in down 1, but it was not a good feeling because CSU had actually gotten it going offensively. They were scoring. I mean, the analytics, 1.24 points per possession. That's good offense. And then they came out in the second half and they were dead. And a lot of that, I think, was driven by the fact Augie Kiadoulis came off the bench and had to start at the 5, missing Mbemba and Jorgensen.
Yeah, that's tough.
And he ran out of gas. Augie's a good player. It's been a little bit of a struggle for him this year for a variety of reasons, and he had some health issues over the summer. He was expected to contribute a lot more, and yesterday was his first chance to start, and he was fine in the first half, but he ran out of gas in the second half. The bigger issue, though, and I'll point to the bigger issue of the lack of the big men. CSU's offense, when it's run really well, the 5s that play are very, very, very important to the flow of the offense and the structure of the offense. They shoot the ball, they pass the ball, they roll to the hoop. But the other thing they do is they set big screens on the perimeter to free up the 3-point shooters. And Mbemba is the best screen setter in the league, was last year. Guys just don't go around him. He's 6'7", 250. Jorgensen has gotten bigger and stronger and sets good screens. Kiadoulis doesn't have the flow in terms of the timing, and he doesn't set the big screens. The other big, Nikola Joppa, same thing. And so the offense gets a little herky-jerky. The ball sticks. It doesn't flow real well. And that's the real issue with where CSU is missing the big men.
Yeah, and it's tough to contextualize for people because I think a lot of times when you have a team like CSU who, just so fans know, we're talking about the second ranked team in all of college basketball shooting the 3. I mean, they're they're top 50 in twos as well. I mean, this is an efficient, well-run offense that moves really quick and shoots well. And a lot of times, like, think back to those Warriors teams, right? You think, oh, Steph and Clay, they're making threes, right? But how vital was Bogut setting screens and Draymond having the ball on the perimeter and finding guys? It's the little stuff people don't think about. People think when there's a good 3-point shooting team that the 5 is actually a guy who can step out and hit the 3. And maybe, there's some guys who can, but more often than not, those big guys play such an important role. I talked about even like with the Rockets, like Steven Adams setting screens or Clint Capella, like those big guys are vital and they know what to do and what spots to be in. And that's what opens everything up for those guys. And so I think you're spot on. And yeah, Jorgensen can obviously step out and shoot it. So objectively, you miss that, right? That sucks. But you start to miss the other little things, and that's really important. So I think it's definitely something to monitor. So, yeah, we've talked about it a little bit this week, kind of in the Lopes land, if you will. Jorgensen, obviously out. And then Bemba, it sounds like definitely going to be out. It sounds like, he's been ready to come back for a few weeks. But
hard to say. He's starting to practice. And I think there's a chance he could be back on Saturday, to be honest with you, but more likely, I think next Tuesday for him. And Jorgensen, the good news is his injury did not require surgery.
Not season ending. Yeah.
And so he'll be out for a few weeks. And, the thing I talk about Mbemba a lot, people, you look at him and you go, well, he doesn't seem to score a lot of points. He doesn't seem to grab a lot of rebounds, but defensively, he takes up space in the paint. He's a space eater. And like I said, he sets big screens. And CSU's record in games where Rashawn started playing a little bit as a freshman. He had to play when we got our starting center hurt when he was a freshman. Rashawn's record, his first 2 years, if he played 15 or more minutes, was like 26-5. And so he is an important part of getting on the floor. And the hope is we get both of those guys back healthy, but it's going to be a slog, I think, for the next few weeks.
Another thing, Steve, I talked about this in my mailbag I just did, and I actually referenced Colorado State, but I went through all the teams last year, mid-majors, that had success, and it was all continuity, even if guys left. And you guys experienced this at Colorado State, even if guys got better and they transferred out, develop those guys internally. And so Mbemba, it's not just – he's 8-6, but it's, hey, this guy played on that team last year. Like he knows, like you said, he knows how to win. He carries it over. I mean, it probably helps Ollie a ton too, to have a player that can roll over a lot of the culture and stuff he's trying to do. And so that stuff really matters. We're seeing that with this GCU team. I've tried to explain to fans. It sucks to say, but like not a lot of returners. And it's an awkward thing of like, it's not, hey, don't have expectations for this team in the first 10 games. But guess what, guys? Like when you return one player, 1.5 players that played minutes, it's really tough in college basketball. Utah State, like we just talked about that same thing as well. We're seeing kind of some through lines here in what matters and wins in mid-major college basketball. But talk to us about, we know they've got other options offensively that are good. I know you mentioned the fight. I know you mentioned the defense. But Colorado State, they still got other guys that can fill it up. I know Muniz, if I said that correctly. I watched some of his stuff. He's big. I mean, he can really create some offense. I know they've got different places they can go. So tell us about some of those guys that we might see have the ball in their hand a little bit more Saturday, or could maybe decide the game Saturday with Jorgensen out and obviously Bemba out.
Yeah, when Jorgensen was playing, there was really a core of 6 players. There's some good guys that come off the bench, and Kia Doulis is starting now, coming off the bench. But the guys that are the steady 6 leave Jorgensen out. The 2 guards are great shooters, Brandon Recksteiner and Josh Pasquarelli. Now Pasquarelli went 1 for 8 yesterday. Hit a big 3 late to put him in the lead, but he was off yesterday.
And Steve, one thing I want to call out with him, when you watch his film, he is the ultimate guy when you watch his stuff at like Marist last year, where when he gets that like little bit of opening or someone leaves him open, you can watch the other team's bench and you can listen to the announcers and you can listen to the, oh no, like,
Yeah.
why did we? And there's not a lot of players in college basketball that you go, oh my gosh, our one job was to not let him get an open three. That's how good of a shooter he is.
Well,
I don't want you to skip over that because I know it was a tough
he's
night last
amazing.
night. He is a flamethrower.
He had an 8-for-8 game against South Florida from 3. Came home, hit his first 2 against CU, so he had 10 in a row. Then he missed 2. Then he made his next 9. So he's had streaks
Insane.
of 10 in a row and 9 in a row. And to be honest with you, Brennan, when you watch him, his form is beautiful. Just watch him in warm-ups. He's got a beautiful high release, high arc, perfect spin. And this is the first game we've seen him shoot really poorly. Usually we're shocked when he misses. That's how good a shooter he is. And I've never seen, I'll be honest with you, I've been watching college basketball forever. I haven't seen anything like this. But his sidekick, Brandon Rechsteiner, shoots it over 40% as well. And Rechsteiner was 4 for 7 yesterday. He was the only guy who consistently made threes yesterday in last night's game. He's an interesting kid. He transferred from Virginia Tech. Didn't really play in an offense that fit him, but he was a 115th ranked prep coming out of high school, very highly ranked
Some pedigree
player, and he can shoot it too. So you got 2 guards that are really, really good shooters coming off of screens. They can catch and shoot. They can score off the bounce. You have to crowd them. You have to force them to go to the basket. They can get to the basket, but that's not what they want to do. They want to shoot pull-ups and they want to shoot threes. You mentioned Jevin Muniz. Jevin transferred from Florida Gulf Coast, played a year there after 2 years at Delaware State. He's kind of the glue guy. He can handle the ball. He can back guys down.
It almost looks like a lot of pick and rolls with him. He's bigger, like 6'6",
about 6'6", 215, and he's
Yeah.
built well. He's not the fastest, but he handles the ball
He goes
well.
at his pace, though.
He's a very good passer. He's a very good passer in the open court. If CSU gets out in transition, he is very good. He's
just
the one
under
you want
5
with the
assists a
ball.
game. Just under 5 assists a game. That's not nothing.
Yeah, he's had double-digit assist game, and then Kerry Booth is kind of he's been a little bit of a revelation. Kerry was I think 55th ranked prep in the class of 2023. Started his career at Notre Dame. Was originally going to go to Penn State, where his dad Calvin Booth. Well, I don't know if people know Calvin Booth was the GM for the Nuggets.
Yep.
Kerry played prep ball here, and then played his last year at Brewster Academy in New Hampshire. 55th ranked player, started at Notre Dame because the coach went from Penn State to Notre Dame, played a year there, and then transferred to Illinois and sat on the bench at Illinois. And CSU had gone after him after the Notre Dame season, and he decided to go to Illinois, sat on the bench and needed to get out of there. Kerry is very much a player under development. He's 6'10" and about 215, wants to play on the perimeter, more comfortable on the perimeter. He's learning that he's got to go inside and get tougher inside. And so it's a little bit of an up and down with him as he's learning, but he wasn't expected to start this year, Brennan. And he was CSU's best player last night. Only had 7 points, but he had 10 rebounds and 6 block shots. He was the only one doing any protection around the rim. He's long and athletic. He just needs to fill out and get stronger. But he was, the thing that I talked about, Augie Kiadoulis was penciled in to start and had health issues. Booth has come on so much that he's kept Kiadoulis from getting on the floor. He's been that good. And so those 4, and then a kid off the bench, Jace Butler, who was a top 100 player out of high school who played a year at Washington.
Remember that lefty?
Originally recruited at Illinois, left and went to Washington. Assistant coach left Illinois and went, I forget where, but went to Washington and didn't get, got a few bench minutes, but really didn't get used much. And they kept, they recruited over him. They really didn't give him much of a chance, and he had been recruited by CSU. And so good young talent. And Jace is a good sixth man, really solid sixth man. He's good he can score. He's been a 50% 3-point shooter. Of course, he was 0 for 4 last night, but a good shooter, smart player, heady player, and very physical. He's 6'4" and about 200 pounds. So good, strong guard. Those are the guys to watch for. Kia Doulis off the bench. The other guards, we got a freshman who's gone up and down, JoJo McIver, redshirt freshman guard, Darnez Slater, redshirt freshman for a wing, John McConan. I don't know how much you're going to see out of them on Saturday.
So I got to ask you, obviously, CSU finds, I would think maybe going to be one of their quote lower points of the season, just with the injuries coming off, some tough losses. They're probably going to find themselves as a dog on Saturday. I know Ken Palm still has CSU favored, but just with the injuries, I'm sure that'll be factored in. GCU at home. I got to ask you, if CSU comes out and we're talking Saturday night late about a CSU victory, what has to happen, or one or two things you think would happen for that result to, I don't want to say kind of turn around the season, but could be a really big Saturday for them? What would it take to get that done?
It's obviously they've got to shoot the ball better than 6 for 24 from 3. They've got to shoot better from the free throw line as well. I'll be honest with you. I'm not feeling real positive about the way they're set up right now. I think they're going to struggle, and so I will talk about the word fight. They have got to win the 50-50 balls. I would look to the work on the glass. They have not, and they ended up rebounding. The overall rebounding was fine against Nevada last night. The problem is every time Nevada got a rebound, no one fought. No one was there and fighting and forcing them into a tough shot. And so there's got to be more fight, a willingness to do what it takes to win the 50-50 balls. And that's what this team is going to need over the next few weeks until they get Mbemba back, until they get Jorgensen back, because I'm telling you that the timing of the offense is off, and I don't count on them being quite as like I said, they look herky-jerky. It's very much a sputtering offense right now where the ball is sticking. Normally the ball flies around. It doesn't get dribbled a lot. It's getting dribbled a lot, and I just don't think that's going to change. I don't think Kiadoulis has what it takes and is going to develop between last night and Saturday night what it's going to take, and I don't think we'll see it out of Joppa as a big as well. So it's going to come down to fight. It really is.
Yeah, one thing to keep an eye on, what we've talked about this recurring with GCU this year, they have not been a great three-point shooting team. They made some against Wyoming, and it's gotten just a little bit better, but at one point, GCU was like 320th in the country in three-point shooting, and they were, they had some games where they were losing the three-point variance by 6, 7, 8 threes, and could have been and probably should have been much worse. And that's making up 24 points is really hard. As good as they've been in other areas, defensively, they've gone up quite a bit. GCU, they've really played well since those early kind of sputters. But at the end of the day, it is, like I always joke, like it's 2025, almost 2026, right? And if you're not making threes, it doesn't matter how tough you play, right? Or that fight, you got to make some threes. And so this is a really interesting kind of clash of maybe clash of styles, but something's got to give here. Like, can GCU make some more threes, or can they keep CSU from making a lot? But also if they're looking for that rallying cry, they want to come out and make 11 threes. GCU has not shot the 3-point well. GCU's gonna have a lot of points to make up in other areas, and I just don't know if they can do it. So I think that's something to absolutely keep an eye on for Saturday. And I think it's a really interesting matchup. And I guess to finish this out here, we'll see what happens Saturday. But once everybody does come back, and let's say that's, end of January, maybe you get Bemba back and Jorgensen, what is the ceiling for this group? Do they have a potential to maybe, I wouldn't say replicate last year, because I had last year down in my mailbag as one of the best 12-game runs in mid-major college basketball history. Probably not enough people talk about it.
It was crazy. It was fun.
Yeah. Do they have, do you think that there's a ceiling in them that could really make a serious run once they get everybody back? Or, maybe, I don't know, like, could they beat some of those really good teams down the stretch?
Yeah. It's there's a few things at play here. The short answer is there's potential there. We've seen them look really, really good. Like I said, the game against South Florida where they blew out to a 20-plus point lead. South Florida a week later beat Utah State by 15. They were up over 20 points against them. South Florida's a good team, so we've seen that they can do it. It's not going to come like last year did. Last year, you had a guy leading the team named Nick Clifford, and everybody's heard about him, who first-round draft pick by the Sacramento Kings. It's more of an ensemble this year, where it's a different guy doing it every night. Last year, you can count on Nick. The leadership has to develop. That's the one thing that I'd like to see more of. There are not a lot of vocal guys on the team, and that doesn't necessarily develop as they're this age. But they've got to figure out a way to come together a little differently. I shared a little story about Nick last year and what really. So things started coming together and getting better. They kind of fell into it, to be honest with you, Brennan. No one really talks about this, but they were struggling last year, and they had a guy starting named Ethan Morton who had transferred from Purdue. And Coach Medved was very much committed to keeping Ethan Morton in the starting lineup. And he started. And Ethan was not an offensive player, and teams would just pack the paint, and there was no room for Nick Clifford to do anything. Well, so Ethan Morton, CSU was 7-6. 1-1 in conference, and Ethan Morton got sick and missed a game at San Jose State. CSU went there and won the game by like 25 points, came back home and started winning. They lost a couple of more games. They lost, obviously, a few more conference games, but they went to Utah State, and that was their last loss. And I had Nick Clifford on one of my streams, and Nick always came on after losses, and it was great to talk to. He's just an even-keeled guy, just a wonderful young man. And he flat out said to me something really funny after we had been smoked by Utah State. And he said, "Steve, I don't think we're going to lose another game this year." And hilarious. For some people saying that, you go, my God, that's crazy. That's false confidence. That's just a young kid talking a bunch of nonsense. With Nick, it's the other way around. Nick is not one of those guys that talks like that. And lo and behold, they went on this crazy run, and they won every game up until the loss in the round of 32 on a last-second shot to Maryland. They ripped off 12 in a row. And Brennan, they were winning every one. They were out almost every one of those games. They had a 20-point lead. They were just murdering everybody. Things just clicked, and it was just a really interesting thing that happened. I don't think this team has that. They're going to have to do it as a whole, all five guys fitting together. And can it happen? Yes, I am a little nervous about the fact I think they're up against the 8 ball. And I think, you talk about it. I talk about it. The top 4 finish in the Mountain West is so important to get that first round bye for the tournament. You have to play 4 games, especially that 4th game where you get maybe 16 hours between games, or 12
like a 2 or 3 p.m.
games.
Start.
Yeah, it's a brutal run. New Mexico did it 2 years ago, but and so I don't know what's going to happen. Can they beat good teams? I think they can beat good teams. You talked about the continuity thing. There's so much newness. This is going to be a hard team to win on, a hard conference to win on the road this year. Not a lot of experience in other gyms. That's why I thought Grand Canyon's win at Wyoming was so big. That's really a tough place to play, even though it's 3,000 people. It's not a big crowd. It's a tough place to play, and any road win is a good win in the Mountain West. For Nevada last night, that was a huge road win. Even though CSU didn't play very well and didn't fight, that was a huge win for Nevada. Those are going to be few and far between. So I think CSU can win at home, but they've got to show the ability to fight and scrap games, on the road to be able to win on the road.
Well, we got another fight just like that. I know, listen, it's tough. Colorado State 0-2, but this is the Mountain West. And on Saturday, you got to travel to GCU. Students will be, I think, not quite there. So they won't get the full experience. They'll get I think, a pretty good welcoming, as GCU likes to do to teams that come and visit Phoenix. But it'll still be a great environment. And man, it doesn't stop. Like, no breaks. And so we'll find out some answers on Saturday, 6 p.m. Lopes, Colorado State. I'm a little bummed. It's just a Mountain West game. I know the Mountain West Network, they do a great job. There was hoping for some linear on that one, but not getting it on Saturday. But guys, make sure you get to GCU Arena. Make sure, if you're not in Phoenix, you are, you've got the stream pulled up, because this is it. We're running downhill, and there is no stopping till we get to Vegas. So, Steve, thank you so much. Any final thoughts, and then also tell us where we can listen to you.
Yeah, just one final thought, Brennan. I want to touch this. This was one road game that I penciled in on my calendar to come to, and the reason why, first of all, Phoenix in January is always an easy sell with my wife. We both went to graduate school at the University of Arizona. We have friends we'll visit down in Tucson on Sunday, but it's because of the culture and the arena and the crowd. I live for that kind of stuff. My background, Brennan, and forgive me if I talk a little long-winded about this. I grew up outside of Philadelphia. The very first college game I saw was in the Palestra when I was 10 years old. One of the great meccas of college basketball. I've seen basketball games, college games in Madison Square Garden. I went to school at Duke, and so I love arenas with lots and lots of energy. To me, that's the unique part of college basketball that makes it the absolute best sport. And that's the real reason we're coming to Grand Canyon.
We love it.
We know we're only in the league for 1 year together. You talked about a home and home. That would be a fun trip every year, but that's why I'm coming. And so I'm so excited to be there, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I didn't want to leave without saying that. You guys have built a great culture there, and I'm really excited to see, win or lose. I'm excited to be a part of that environment. So people can catch me on X. My handle is @SwollCracker, SWOLLCRACKER. On YouTube, Crackers College Hoops. I do about 4 or 5 live streams a week. I like to work live. With my audience, with my community. I do mostly CSU shows. I do one Mountain West Conference show a week with my friend Tom Moser, who's now working
really good stuff there.
BJ Rains up in Boise, doing a week post game show every night that a Mountain West game is played. I started a new feature with Jeff Kramer of down in Albuquerque. I don't know if you caught it. We have an award we give out called the Weekly Neek. That is to the award to the player that we think was slighted by the Mountain West in their Player of the Week and Freshman of the Week awards. And then I'll be adding another new show, a new concept sometime in January. I haven't scheduled it, but I'm looking. But catch us on YouTube. I also go simultaneously on X, and we're having a lot of fun doing it. So anyway.
Awesome. Well, Steve, thank you so much for your time this morning. Excited for Saturday. Excited to see you. And hopefully we get another good college basketball game. Nothing better than it's Saturday. Weather's supposed to be great here. So, man, you just can't beat it. So looking forward to it, Steve. Appreciate your time.
Brennan, thank you so much for having me on. I am so excited to meet you in person on Saturday. I know we're going to get a great game, win or lose. Like I said, it's a Mountain West game. It's fun. You guys deserve to have fun. If you run it up on us, let it be.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve.